Coyote! Incredible!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Big Toon Chat YouTube channel. My name is Kevin, and alongside me, as always, we have Stephen from Geordie Talk. How are you doing, Stephen? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yourself, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. I am looking away because I am waiting for two more people to join the stream, so don't think I'm ignoring you. This show is Sunday Night Live, sorry, and we are going to look back at the last 7 days in the life of being a Newcastle fan at the minute. Stephen's show started at the beginning of the week, Monday, a couple of days after the ball draw against West Brom. How did that set you up for the week ahead?
Well, I felt confident. And it was a bit deflating, just setting up for a point against West Brom. But went into the week thinking Villa's a big game. We have to try and get something out of Villa. And I was buoyed by it. I said, we've had a couple of draws, a couple of games undefeated, clean sheet. That's all you can take out of it. But I would have preferred a win. That would have been in a happier mood. But it's just how it is as a Newcastle fan at the moment.
Yeah, watching the West Brom game was a very, very boring draw. We did talk to a West Brom fan last week, and that was one of our predictions about when we were asked about how the outcome of the game would be. I did actually predict a ball draw. The link to that video is down in the description, just down there. So setting us up for Monday, it wasn't really the best of starts because we knew all the negativity was going to come our way. Steve Bruce not playing the right tactics, not playing the right people in the right places. People left out of the team it's just absolutely diabolical at the minute. And then going forward after the West Brom game, we find out that Matty Longstaff is in the under-23 squad and plays a full 90 minutes, but he can't get in the first team squad. So he's just signed a new contract. I think it was the start of this season. What did you think of Matty Longstaff being in the under-23, Stephen?
Well, I just thought he's been in under-23 to get himself some fitness. As you know, he's not a first-team regular. I mean, he's got to play games, the lad. He's a talent that we have, and he isn't being utilised properly in the team. I mean, all the time Jeff Hendricks got in the starting lineup and he's played poorly. We could have done with a player like Matty Longstaff to break the play up and get forward with his pace, as you know what he has. I just think he's played in the under-23 just to get his fitness up. He ain't going to get fit by training and sitting on being left out match day squads every week, are you?
That's very true, yeah. I mean, do you think we've seen enough of him to say that he is the player that we all think he is? Obviously, he's played a couple of times against Man United and he scored 1 or 2 goals. Do you think we've seen enough of him? Do you think we're judging him too early?
No, I don't think we're judging him too early. I think he's a hell of a talent, and when he broke onto the scene against Man United, you know, he's a talent there. And when he got in the team this season, he was playing well. That 0-0 draw against Liverpool, I thought he played really well. And just the way he can break play up, he's a good player to have. So I find it baffling why he's not in the team more often. Just he's had a bust up with Bruce and his brother Sean.
Just mentioning the bust up that you've just mentioned there, I'm struggling as to what the bust up might be. Do you think Steve Bruce has had a problem with Sean and Matty's jumped in? Do you think it's the other way around? Or do you think it's maybe the conduct on the training field? Like they might not want to play the way he's playing or anything like that? What do you think your reasoning is behind it?
Well, I just think it just probably a disagreement with probably how he's playing, and if Sean doesn't fit into how he's playing now that he was used to playing 5 at the back all the time, probably his brother has stepped in. Matty has stepped in to defend his brother, and that's burned the bridges with Bruce. And with all this mole stuff, he's going to find the mole and all this. I just think it could be either one of them or both of them. Is nobody else that really would do it. Richie's come out and said he's a coward, which we agree with him. But I think it's either one Longstaff or both Longstaffs. Who's the mole who's been leaking the story to the paper?
Should I tell you who I think it is?
Yeah, go on.
I think it's Graham Jones.
Yeah.
Now your reaction says everything there. I mean, you're shocked at what I've just said there, because I think Graham Jones secretly wants that job, and I think he realizes that the Newcastle players aren't playing the way that they can do. Steve Bruce is not doing a lot on the sidelines, and Graham Jones, I think, is probably like us. He's really frustrated, and he maybe wants Bruce out of the club altogether. So I've got a funny feeling. I don't know why. Don't quote us on this, but I think personally it's Graham Jones. But to be honest with you, we're never going to find out, are we?
All that stuff's going to be kept in house, isn't it? You may have a point there, Kev, about wanting the job permanently, which I don't disagree with. I think he should deserve the job, as he would get the players playing like how he would play. It would galvanise a team. I'm 100% sure of that. But now, Jones wasn't even in the stand. Sorry, wasn't even on the bench. To start off. And I hope Jones does get it. I just cannot say it. We stuck with Bruce, unfortunately.
Yeah. Welcome, Dom. It sounds like there's a right party going on in your house. What's happening?
Oh, it's the kids. I do apologise.
We're just basically talking about Molegate. What's your opinion on it?
Well, I went through a few bits and pieces, and I thought, well, he's brought in Jones to piss off Bruce, obviously. That's the only reason why he's there, not to help him, just to annoy him. So then you go on and you get all this bad rep and bad media for Bruce. I think this mole could be Mike Ashley himself, to be honest with you. Just trying to push out Bruce.
That's very interesting. I never thought of that. I've just been talking to Stephen. I thought it might be Graham Jones. Obviously, being a Newcastle fan, I think he might be frustrated at the way the Newcastle players are playing. The tactics that Bruce has given them, he knows that they're playing out of position. It might just be frustration. So I'm going to put my neck on the line and I'll say it's Graham Jones. But at the same time, I don't think we'll ever find out, to be honest with you, Dom.
No, I don't think we will. I think it's a wasted exercise. Really, we should be committed on what we're doing on the playing field rather than searching for someone who's putting out all this news. It's just a wasted exercise.
No, I agree. Stephen, Dom's just mentioned Mike Ashley as the mole. What's your take on that?
As I always thought, Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce were always in like cahoots. They always get on well together. John may have a point that he may be Mike Ashley leaking stuff to the news just to get shut of Bruce on the quiet. But like you said, we'll never know the full ins and outs unless he does go. It's all going to be kept in-house, and we aren't going to hear a word of it unless it's forced upon the club that you're going to do that.
Yeah, bang on there, Stephen. I couldn't agree with you more. Dom, me and Stephen were just having a chat before about Matty Longstaff in the 23s. What's your take on this whole Matty Longstaff issue? I mean, we've just been discussing about the fact that, is it the fact that Sean Longstaff's had a bust up with Bruce, Matty Longstaff's got involved? Do you think it's the other way around and Sean's got involved? I mean, there's any amounts of things it could be, but what do you think it is?
Well, if you look at Sean, He's on what? Reported, given, but he's on £1,000 a week. And then you look at Matty, he's on £18,000 a week. So surely Sean would feel that, well, maybe I should be on around about the same, same wage. So obviously there's got to be some sort of a disjointed problem there between both Longstaffs and Steve Bruce, and maybe with the club as well. With Matty, he was given the number 4 shirt, and then hasn't seen light of day since. So there must have been something that has irked Bruce or irked the club into not playing him in the first team. The same goes for Sean. Sean's hardly seen light of day either. Two of our probably most promising youngsters in the past decade, and they're not playing. But what's going on? What's happening? And it's something that needs resolving very quickly, because at the moment I see a club that's just existing. I mean, we all know this. It's just existing at the moment. But at the same time, we need to be getting some sort of forward movement now. This can't go on at all.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I was actually a bit surprised to see Sean Longstaff on the subs bench against Villa, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, I mean, he played in the under-23s, full 90 minutes. I mean, it's not because of match fitness or anything like that. I just think they are being wasted at the minute. I mean, I bet you Matty Longstaff is regretting signing that new contract.
Yeah, you're probably right there, Kev. Definitely.
So we'll move on to the Villa game.
Yeah, if you like.
Do we have to?
Yeah. I mean, the Villa game, I mean, that was really frustrating to watch, to be honest with you. The amount of times I shouted shoot to the TV was just unbelievable. I've never shouted that so many times. What did you think of the starting lineup, Stephen? Did you think he got it right?
No, well, I wouldn't say he got it right. He never gets team selections right, in my opinion. But Kraft shouldn't be nowhere near the first team. Mankayo was on the bench, so I would have put Mankayo straight back in. As you know what you get with Mankayo, he's a solid defender. He doesn't get his shell wrapped up in knots like Emil Kraft does. I probably wouldn't have had Dwight Gale in. I'd have had Andy Carroll in. And with Fraser one side, probably Joe Linton the other. I know he's not across the ball at all, but with the amount of crosses that was going into the box in that first half, we were only having Dwight Gale trying to get on the end of them, and Joe Linton, where he was failing miserably with them both. I just think you have an Andy Carroll type player in there with his height and his physicality, he would get the most of them balls 9 times out of 10. I just thought it was a dumb formation with Dwight Gale playing out on the right wing, where he's not a right winger, he's a striker. And having Fraser as a false 9 striker through the middle, where Ryan Fraser's never been a striker, and he persisted with that formation until 55 minutes into the game, where he decided to change it up as it wasn't working.
Don, what were your thoughts on the starting lineup? I was a bit surprised to see Dwight Gale. I wasn't expecting that, but to play him out on the right hand side, that was just balmy, if you ask me. And I was really pleased actually to see Mankayo get some game time. So we know that he's getting back to fitness now. So I don't think we'll be seeing much of Kraft in the next few games, hopefully.
Well, going through the lineup there, Martin Dubravka looked a bit more assured than he did in the last game, but that's obviously because of timeout, getting back into full-time football. Kraft, to possibly be controversial, I thought he actually looked a bit better in the last game. He was making some important blocks, important tackles. But the only thing is, he does take the flak, and also on that side, he just doesn't defend his line as well as he should. But as I said, watching the match, Kraft put in a couple of good blocks, a couple of good tackles as well. Lascelles, as the captain, he should be voicing his concerns to the team, his concerns to Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce. He should be leading his line all the time. Has he done that all season? I'm not convinced, but we all know he can do it. We've all seen it in him, that he can voice his opinion. He can get his line sorted out and also voice his concerns to the club. Clark, one of our best defenders, in my eyes. He's been a bargain, really, since we bought him. I mean, for £5 million, you can't complain. He's assured, he's strong, does make the odd mistake. Sometimes I think he boots it out too early and doesn't look for anyone else that he can make a pass it to. But that's my thoughts on Clark. Dummett, I was glad to see him back. He's a sort of person that you don't have to coach. He knows his job, he knows his role, and gets on with it. He's strong, gets in on tackles, gets in on everything else as well. Hayden, glad to see him, doing what he should be doing, breaking up play, setting up, moving forward as well. So that's refreshing to see. Shelby, I think, should be gone. I think he's just a passenger at the minute. He's so much more capable of a lot more than what he gives, because he's got a magic passing range. He's got a magic mentality. But what he doesn't do, he just plods about. He doesn't do anything. Doesn't track back. Doesn't, give himself he gives himself the ball, but then doesn't out with it. Willock was exciting to watch. Got through the defensive lines a few times. Looked better in the role he was. So, yeah, I think also we might have another 12 months option on him as well for a loan. Whether that, if we go down to the Championship, is to be seen. But I can't see him being loaned back out to us if we're in the Championship. Fraser and being a striker, I didn't get that. I really didn't. And then you had Joe Linton and Gale on the wings. What's going on there? Why isn't Gale up front with maybe Joe Linton and Fraser on the wings? What's going on here? But it all seemed to chop and change who was up front and who was on the wings, and it just become confusing who was where, to be honest with you. But I'd much rather have had someone like Carroll, because the amount of crosses we get in at the moment is unbelievable. And Carroll must be absolutely salivating to get on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought Carroll looked really good, really strong when he came on. Just going off what you said about Willock there was a few times when he was running back to tracking back and defenders and things like that. I thought he looked a bit lazy or a bit well, I'm not going to say unfit, like tired. I mean, he can't be fatigued already, surely. I mean, the amount of games that he's played, but he did look like he was sort of jogging rather than sprinting. I mean, that sort of got my back up a bit. And then Dummett as well. I mean, he had a dodgy half an hour the first half an hour, because Watkins and Trezeguet just went past him like he wasn't there. There was a couple of runs, and then after that, I mean, Hayden, he looked a bit shaky as well. But then 20 minutes, half an hour into the game, we sort of worked out which way Villa were playing, and then we sort of like got into our positions and we stood strong. We defended really well, I thought. Kraft, I think you're totally right about that. I thought he had a better game than the last couple of games, but I would like to see Mankiw back. And then crosses, yeah, a lot of crosses coming into the box, but for me, Joe Linton and Gale weren't really utilising their defenders enough, trying to attack the balls enough. I just think, again, Gale being played out of position, I just thought that was absolutely atrocious. Shelby, you're bang on. I think he is a bit we are sort of like carrying him now. I mean, he's not like the most exciting player to watch. He's not the quickest. He's sort of like dawdles before he gives the ball away. And 3-4 times easy, I could have counted on my hand on when he lost the ball as well, which is really frustrating. But Joe Linton, I thought he was probably one of our better players, even though, I mean, The amount of times that he had to shoot was really frustrating. I don't know if it's confidence. It can't be a confidence issue because I know he's got this big price tag hanging over his head. He's had all these games and not enough goals. But I just wish he'd shoot more, get his head up, look for a pass, look where the keeper is and have a shot. That's all we ask. Have a go because you never know. 9 times out of 10, you're going to score. I thought he gave Mings a really tough game. Say again?
Yeah, just stick your lasers through it. I think that's what we're all thinking. Just stick your lasers through it. At least it's a shot, and 9 times out of 10, you're either going to test the keeper and he's going to palm it out, or you're going to score a goal. That's the way things work. When he went through, he was 1-on-1 and then decided to pass it across goal and then lost it. I didn't get that.
Yeah, I totally get where you come from on that. But I will just go back to Dumb It Once before I continue, because I thought what he done to Traore was absolutely brilliant. He sent him to the Strawberry Pub, and that was absolutely brilliant. Talk about the game. But yeah, Joe Linton, I just wish he'd shoot more. That's all I ask. Put your laces through it like you've just said. But I think at one point we were playing so deep that Gale won the ball back on our 18-yard box and hoofed the ball upfield to Joe Linton, who lost it, and then Villa started coming back out. It was like just watching what 10 games ago, just defend and defend. And I just thought, I can't be watching this again. Steve, did you think we defended more than we attacked?
Yeah, I think we frightened stiff. We're going to concede every time the opposition comes forward. We can't trust ourselves to get enough goals to see the game off. All right, if you win by a goal, yes, defend for your life, or 2-1 or something like that, then yes, by all means defend. But don't defend when you're 0-0, you're chasing the game, you need to win. Like you said, we were going back to the Newcastle of old 10 games ago, defending for our lives, trying not to lose a point we have. I'll just touch on Joe Linton for a second. I mean, watch that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tyrone Mings didn't like it out on the wing. He had to cope with Joe Linton all game, and I thought Joe Linton did well to bully Tyrone Mings a bit. And I counted 3 times he got in that penalty area. And like Dom says, he should have put his foot through it, took a shot on. 3 times he's looked to square the ball when his teammates haven't been in good positions. Three times they could have had a shot at goal, and people would be happy. I just think it's his confidence. His confidence is shot. He probably knows what all the fans are saying about him, that he's living up to his 40 million price tag. That's not his fault. I don't blame him for that. That's just the club's fault for paying 40 million. It's too much pressure on the lad. But when you get, he's built for physicality. He can hold the ball up. He's good at holding balls up. But once he gets in that box, he doesn't know what to do. And he's one that doesn't go and try and win the ball back. As soon as it goes back to the goalkeeper, he just passes it by. He can't be asked to even press. But like you said, with the defender, I think we do it too much. Because we frightened to death that we're going to concede. That's just the way we've been set up.
Yeah, I think you're bang on. Exactly what you said there. I mean, I just don't like defensive football. I'd rather a game. I mean, for example, this Arsenal-Tottenham game, it's been so defensive, it's ridiculous, because Arsenal's been attacking, Tottenham's been defending. It's like watching Newcastle. And I just don't like that sort of play. Like, I'd rather have attack versus attack. Like, at least have a go. Because if I was going to St. James's Park now, I'd want my money back, because it's not good to watch. It's totally it's frustrating for the fans, and I totally get that. Did you think the point was well deserved? I mean, Villa obviously went 1-0 up because of an own goal, which I thought we were really unlucky to concede. But I think, like, the last 5 minutes, the urgency to get that equaliser just went up 3-4 levels. I mean, if we weren't 1-0 down, do you think we would have been that urgent to get a winner come the last 5 minutes of the game, Stephen?
No, we wouldn't have, like you say, if being 1-0 down, like we were. You can, and you got to get a goal to try and get a point out of it, which is, I think we just about deserved it in the end. That's what I'll say. But if it was 0-0 and still huffing and puffing, can't get a shot on goal, can't create an attacking thing, we would have just held out for the point. 0-0. What's the point in going forward trying to potentially lose it and win it? Just stick for the point you have. That's all the mentality will be. That's all Bruce has drilled into them. If it's 0-0 for as long as you keep it 0-0 as long as you can, and stick for the point. Don't go try and win it. Stick, keep with what we have, and we'll go on to the next game. That's just commonplace with Bruce. He's just defeatist mentality all the time.
Dom, Jacob Murphy came on, changed the game, I thought. Looked really exciting, really fresh when he came on. Had a couple of goals on goal. Really unlucky not to score as well when it hit the bar. Do you think he starts the next game? Do you think he's shown Bruce what he can do and that he's a bit of an exciting sort of attacking option that we've got?
Yeah, I think so. Where he plays, I don't know. It's all a bit strange at the moment. I mean, you've got St. Max come back to play on the left. You've got Fraser also biting to play every game. But with Murphy, he does look exciting when he comes on. He does give 100% when he comes on, and I don't see him as a right wing back, unfortunately. But he does give. I don't think he's worth the 14 million we paid for him now, but he's definitely a changed player since he went out on loan and then come back, and how he's played recently. So yeah, I think he deserves his shot. He deserves his chance. But at the moment, where do you put him?
I think he came on for Fraser, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. That begs the question as to where do you play Jacob Murphy? Do you keep using him as a substitute in case we go 1-0 down? Do you give him half an hour every game? I mean, it is tough to try and get him into that team, especially when you've got the likes of Almiron, Sal Maxim, and Wilson all to come back. He's not going to get in ahead of them three. So I think he is a good option to have on the bench. But it's a case of whether Bruce gives him enough time to try and actually have an impact in the game.
I think with Murphy, he is just that impact player to come off the bench. I think you're right.
Yeah. So obviously Lascelles got the equaliser right in the dying seconds. I don't know about you two. Did you see there was a bit of a divide in the celebrations? There was Joe Linton, Clark, and Carroll all celebrating together, and then the rest were just sort of like walking back to the half, like the other half. Was that like a divide? I mean, did anybody else see that?
It was Lascelles, Clark, and Carroll who were celebrated. And I think Joe Linton and Manqueo, I noticed once that goal went in, he just walked back towards halfway. And Gale, I think Gale didn't even. I don't think he celebrated. I didn't say it, but it was just Carroll, Clark, and Lascelles who like celebrated, when the rest were probably just glad they'd got a point out of it at the death. I don't think there's kind of any divide in there. It's probably couldn't be asked to celebrate. Say, well, we've got a point out of it. To just try and hold on to that. It was only about 10 seconds anyway, so I don't think there was any sort of divide in the camp. I think they're solid since they've had that bust up. Just later come together once again, once to get all our best players back and try and keep us out this bother we're in, this relegation bother, because it's not a good time at all to be a Newcastle fan at all, with all this going on, relegation, takeover, not takeover, yes. It's just compounds your emotions all the time. You can never feel like you're on a high with being a Newcastle fan, can you?
Yeah, I mean, you can just hear the frustration in your voice, Stephen. I think that says everything. But I've just earlier on today, I seen a stat about Dwight Gale in the Villa game. I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but he had 27 touches, the team lowest, including Dubravka, in 90 minutes during the Villa game. Now, 14 of that touches was in the attacking third, and the rest were like in the defensive areas. Now, Paul Dummett had 29 touches in the attacking third alone. So Newcastle basically played a striker and didn't give him the ball. How frustrating is that?
Very, very honestly, that's just madness. If you look at them stats, that is madness. And really, I'm absolutely infuriated by them as well. We should be doing more. Like I said, Gale should be playing up top, picking up the ball, sticking in the nets, which we all know he can do. You know, he's not going to score 20 goals a season. Of course he's not. He's not the type of striker. What he can do is, if he gets a sniff, he can stick it in the back of the net. Looking at them stats, I mean, like I said with Dummett earlier on, I think he had an excellent game. I mean, okay, he's only just really started coming back. He's had a shaky time in a half an hour spell, but you know, he's someone that, you know, Benitez said, who he actually revered at the club and said, my favourite player at my time at Newcastle was Paul Dummett, because I could trust him to go out and know exactly what he was supposed to be doing, and he didn't need much coaching.
Yeah, just got to welcome in John Sinclair. He's only half an hour late, but welcome, John. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely fine. Just having a bit of technical problems here, sort of thing, stuff. I was doing things for my mum as well. So yeah, I'm absolutely fine, guys. How are you?
Very well, thanks, John. And pass our regards on to your mum. Happy Mother's Day. Being the good boy that you are, well done.
Well done. Got sweet, sort of thing. So hey.
Yeah. John, we've just been having a discussion about Matty Longstaff, the bust up with Bruce, and the Villa game. Do you want to weigh in with your opinions on that?
Right. The only thing I knew, well, it's gone on a couple of months ago, really, down the bus stop before, so it's not really new. It's not the first time. But when does this happen, though? Because if this is a new one, this is someone I don't know anything about.
But like, you stop. Doesn't that always scare you?
Say again. I don't know. It sounds like there's a party in Dom's house. Yeah, just basically, we were just mentioning about the fact that Matty Longstaff played in the under-23s during the week. And we were just wondering as to why he can't seem to get in the squad for the Villa game, but his brother can. So we're just wondering, like, what do you think has been going on with the Longstaff since Steve Bruce?
Well, if it was a bus stop between Longstaff and Bruce, that doesn't bode well, won't it? It's just for me, if I'm just the way fitting the Bruce is and we are playing football. But I've seen Bruce treat I know, and Matty Longstaff should have gone to Udinese. I've always seen he should have gone to Udinese. Back in the summer, sort of, he would have got the best training. Not being bad, because I love Serie A, but at the end of the day, he should have gone to Italy, and he would have got the best training. But Steve Bruce made him, well, he wanted him to sign a 2-year deal, got a 2-year deal, right? Then he goes and get Henrik in, plays Henrik, and Matty's not in the picture. Do you know what I mean? But he's not happy. But he's definitely lost the dressing room, and Bruce is having off with everyone. Do you know what I mean? But that doesn't bode well. I mean, it's soon come out soon, but it doesn't look good for Matty. I think he's played his last game for Newcastle.
Oh, okay. Do you think he's regretting signing that new contract?
Well, if I was Matty Longstaff, I would, yeah. Because at the end of the day, right, he was promising to get more games and get involved with more. But I think he's signed a new deal under false pretense, if you're honest with you. But I feel sorry for Matty because the guys, when he plays, he does absolutely no wrong. He gives 100% every week when he does play. And he does more than Jeff Hendrick does. You know what I mean? But how come Jeff Hendrick is in that team and not Matty? That's what I don't understand. Jeff Hendrick offers absolutely no. Matty Longstaff offers a lot. He runs his heart off for the whole 90 minutes. Steve Bruce, right? He's got issues with popular players. He just picks his favourites each and every week. And all I would say, if we lose next week against Brighton, get this manager out. Just get him out, because there's the players aren't playing for him. I think you just mentioned as well, when Lascelles got the equalising goal, right? I could be wrong on this. Only 3 players celebrated. And if that is true, then I'm sorry, but there's not a happy camp.
Yeah, we briefly did just touch on that. I think you're on the same sort of wavelength as me when I've just mentioned that. But do you think Mike Ashley will act if Newcastle go into the bottom 3 and we get beat off Brighton on Saturday?
Okay, he should have acted last season. He should have acted last season. I've always said, I've said it for weeks now, for months now. He should have gone after Liverpool last season. He should have got sacked last season, right? But I said, if they don't sack him, then we're gonna be close to the bottom 3, and I've proved right. But if he loses on Saturday, he has got to go. And if he doesn't go after this, we're relegated. I'm going to resign myself now. We are going to go down. Simple as that. Because at the end of the day, everyone in the room knows that the players aren't playing for Steve Bruce. They're not. It's obvious. You can tell. What is it? Is it like 13 defeats, 2 wins and 4 draws? Is that a record?
Yeah.
Is that a record, right? That the players want to really play for Steve Bruce? Mike Cashy should have acted at the end of the season. I've always said this, you know, and it seems that they're just letting it go again. How many mistakes are they allowed to keep continuing? You know what I mean? Dom, you got to agree with this, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that, John. It's just a problem at the moment. I mean, you say, is that a record? Yeah, I'm sure it is, because I'm sure the last 2 times we've had more wins on the board and still gone down.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real about it. I mean, the club, I'm gonna say it now, the club is a shambles, right? The club is sinking fast. Once Rafa left the club, I knew the club was going to go under, you know what I mean? But we get relegated, this is going to upset a lot of people, but I'm keeping it real. We get relegated, we do a Sunderland, right? 12 players out of contract at the end of the season, plus players like Bigg, ASM, Ubaka, Share, aren't going to stay at Newcastle, right? There's players who come to Newcastle, but they don't want to pay for Steve Bruce. And they must know what he's like. But if he's not sacked, if we get relegated and he's still there, we'd be in League One. Because my man's breaking records in that. They're breaking records, and that's what Ashley wants, breaking records. Yeah, he gets down to League One, and you forget about it takeover. Because the club is a special club. It's a unique club, right? And we've got 52,000 people going into the games week in, week out, right? We deserve success. We haven't won now since 1955, am I correct? Or the first cup in 69, yeah? I'm 51, right? We want to win a trophy of any sort, and that'll do it. But until then, and as this owner at the club, the manager of the club, we got to win now.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, John. I mean, it's obviously brought tears to your eyes as well. There, you can see just wiping them away. I mean, you know how passionate you are. So, Stephen, just coming to Stephen. I'm going to come to you now on the relegation fight. It's looking like it's going to be one of 4 teams now. Brighton, Burnley, Fulham, Newcastle. Looking at the fixtures that we have and the rest of the teams have, who is your prediction to go down?
Well, in that video I did with last week, I think with the relegation rivals, we all said Brighton. Now with them picking up that win today, that's maybe doubt myself again. I mean, where Fulham's playing, I can't say them getting relegated at all. Burnley got a good win yesterday as well. against Everton. I don't want to be defeatist here, but I still think we'll go down myself. I don't want to think that at all. It's Newcastle United. We shouldn't even be thinking about this. But with the games we got coming up, we've got West Ham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester, Man City. That's 5 games there. We could lose easily 5 on the trot, and that'll be it. That'll be over with. I just think the other 3 teams in this battle are playing better football than we are. You don't set up to sit back for points. You go to set up to win games. And that's the big difference between Newcastle and between the relegation rivals and us. We don't look like we're going to score in a game, even though, let alone win one. Yet Brighton, Burnley, Fulham are all playing the better football and would deserve to stay up. Is they're playing the better football, they go out to win games every week. You don't settle for just trying to get a point and move on, like Newcastle do. It's just the way it is. It's I'll put it in context. The Brighton, Burnley, Fulham playing the better football. We're not. I can just say it's going down, to be honest. I don't want to say that at all, but just how I felt since that Brighton result today. It's had a defeat. It's had a impact on my mood, on my feeling towards the end of the season.
Dom, just looking at them fixtures there. Newcastle have got some winnable games coming up, but they've got some tricky games as well. When you look at the likes of West Ham, Liverpool not playing the best at the minute. West Ham would turn them over first game of the season. And then you've got the likes of Brighton, Burnley, Sheffield United, Fulham, all around near the bottom of the table. How many points realistically do you think Newcastle can get from them games, Dom?
Well, Brighton at the moment are kind of up and down. I think the points can be there. It can be a winnable game. So if we took a point, I'd be disappointed at the moment because I keep saying points mean everything at the moment. We need to pick up the points at least. But I'd like to get 3 points against Brighton. Oh, have we lost one? Spurs. Yeah, sometimes I think they can be a bit up and down. They can be beaten one day and then win fabulously the next. They're a bit sporadic at best. Burnley is a possible 3 points. West Ham is possibly a point. Liverpool not playing well, but by the time we get there, they're probably playing like Barcelona. Arsenal, yeah, don't see us getting any points at Arsenal. Leicester, a bit of. I'll grab a point from them. City, we're going to get beat. Sheffield United, well, it should be a 3-pointer really for that one, and hopefully by the time I reach Fulham, it's all done and dusted. But I can see it being very close. Maybe we might survive by a point or 2 points in all that.
John, your thoughts on that?
Kev, I think we're done with it. I mean, I look at that fixture. I look at the fixture on a run, right? We're not beat Brighton. Obviously, get beat by 2-0. Spurs, they could be hitting missy. But on their day, if Harry Kane turns up, I mean, they're going to Son might not be playing because he went off with a hamstring the day. They still got quality players, Spurs, but we'll not beat them. Burnley, they'll be tough enough to crack. And West Ham were playing really well. They got Souček and Antonio scoring the goals. Liverpool would turn up. They'll beat us. Anyone beat Newcastle these days. Arsenal on their day can be so tough to beat. Leicester will not beat Leicester. Man City, they'll be champions by the time we play them. We'll not beat them. Sheffield United would just win that, and Fulham are not going to beat that. But look at that. Oh my God, I think we'd be lucky to get between 3 and 5 points out of that. But the teams we're playing, you've got teams like Spurs, Liverpool, West Ham, Leicester and even Man City are 5 on Champions League spot. Kev, it doesn't look good, mate. I really don't, because Brighton's playing cracking football. Fulham's playing cracking football on top. Sheffield United's going to go down anyway, so I think I'm going to go. I'll agree with Steve. I think they're going to get relegated, mate.
Well, look at that, John. Who's got the tougher running, do you think?
It's all about the tougher running, Kev. Sorry, I keep saying Kev about Dom. It's all about the tougher running. It's whether we beat these teams or not. But looking at that, for me, I think Brighton's got it tough. Burnley will be clear. Burnley will be safe this season. They'll definitely be safe. So if we knock off Burnley, Fulham, on their day, they play cracking football. But I could see Fulham winning 3 more wins, maybe 4. I think they give it a go against Leeds. I think they might just beat Villa. Just. Brighton's got the toughest one, I think. Yeah, I'll go with Brighton's got the toughest. But then again, you look at the teams we've got to play teams that are fighting for a Champions League spot. That's what I can see.
That's 4 fixture lists. That looks pretty precarious, isn't it? It's quite tough for all 4 there.
It does. It looks real tough. It does look real tough. But what do you have to understand this, Dom, right? Are we playing better football than Fulham, Brighton or Burnley?
No. But as I said earlier on, we've got to be picking up at least the points and not get beat. And unfortunately, I can see at least 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 defeats in that.
Well, from us, yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I think we'd get about 6 defeats, mate. 6 defeats and a couple of draws. So, quite honest with you, I don't want to be pessimistic, but at the end of the day, but we're just not.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
I know. We're not scoring goals. We're not scoring goals.
There's not many of us left.
I know. but I get what you mean, man. But it's just not scoring goals, and we're not creating enough as well. But we've got to take the chances that just comes our way. And until if we can get Callum Wilson back or Miggy back, ASM back, but we got to get him back with about 6 games to go minimum. But listen, I don't want to be negative, but I'm just being real. I just don't know where the wins are going to come from. I really don't. But we might just pick up 2 more wins, and that's about it.
Well, Wilson and St. Max were looking at. Sorry, Kev. Wilson and St. Max were looking at the Arsenal game. I think they're on about him returning.
Well, we need him back ASAP. I mean, they say they're going to come back in April. But I've heard rumours that Callum Wilson could be back next Saturday. But at the end of the day, we don't want to risk him. We don't want to risk him coming back early. It's not be right. So, but looking at those 1, 2, 3, 4 teams, Burnley will be safe. Fulham will be safe. It's going to be between us and Brighton. But all I say is, whoever loses that game next week is going to be in huge trouble. Huge trouble.
John, do you think looking at the game next week, the Brighton game, obviously Fulham play Leeds on the Friday night, and then Burnley have got Southampton. Do you think that could sort of whittle down a couple of teams to whoever it goes down to, like the 16th, 17th position, and then the other 2 teams that are above that will basically be safe after that? Because when you've just mentioned there, I think after the Burnley game, they've got the international break, so we get a chance to maybe try and get Almiron back and Wilson back, hopefully. Obviously, we don't want to risk him before that. It would be silly to do that. But I think, given Newcastle's fixture list there, I've counted maybe 9, 10 points I think we can personally get from that. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and go ambitious here. I think if we play the sort of football that we know we can play, and we get Joe Linton shooting rather than passing across the box, I think we can basically, I think we'll beat Brighton. I think we'll beat Burnley. I think we'll beat Sheffield United. And I think Fulham's probably going to be the hardest game out of the bottom teams. But I think the rest, I'd be happy nicking a point off each of them teams.
Well, I hope you're right. You're going to be from Brighton. But I think we need to win. For me, if we can pick up 8 points, I think it'll be safe. 8 points will be enough for me, and I think it'll be safe because the Premier League this season has been like a minefield, hasn't it? You know what I mean? Teams not been on form at this moment in time, but the teams I expect us to beat, well, the chance we've got is Brighton, Burnley, maybe Sheffield United, yeah, and I think we might get. I mean, if we get those 3 players back, we might guess on Man City might get a point because they may be champions at the end. And by the time we play them, so we might play Man City reserves because they're going to concentrate on the Champions League. And if they're in the Champions League, they might rest a few players for that game, so we may get some account of that game. If Callum, Miggy, and ASM are on point, but you said 10, 11 points, yeah, to stay up. I'm going to stick with 5 or maybe 6, but I hope I'm wrong. I love to be wrong, but if we beat Brighton, then maybe just maybe I could start thinking, you know what? They show some fight, yeah. Give it a go.
Stephen, if Leeds beat Fulham and Newcastle beat Brighton, do Newcastle fans start to believe that we can maybe avoid relegation?
Let's not run before we can walk. But if that was to happen, the way beat Brighton and Leeds beat Fulham, that would open up a 5-point gap. I think that would give the players a little bit of hope that we can get ourselves out of this mess. There's, like we say, we've got a game in hand. I think I'm not quite sure we've got a game in hand or whatever like that, but that's what the ideal situation is. We keep relying on other teams to get us out of the bother, where we shouldn't be doing that. Should be concentrating our own fixtures, our own matches, try and pick up the points we need to get out of it. I know Fulham's goal difference took a battering last night when he got beat 3-0 by City. That's brought them closer in terms of that respect. We need to try and get ours down a bit, and that it could all just come down to goal difference. You know, Fulham's only won 5 games this season. Newcastle won 7. They'll play the game more than Newcastle have. So, like you say, it's all ifs and buts, but it'll be the ideal situation if Newcastle can pick up a lucky win, I would say, against Brighton, as you know, the kind of football they play. And if Leeds are no pushovers, you have to think that they aren't no pushovers. They'll go to Fulham and have a good go with the players they've got. I know Bamford's out injured. They've got Rafinha, they've got Rodrigo, they've got a good team there, and they've done well this season. So you can't really write it off just yet. But if that was to happen and you get 5 points clear of the relegation zone, then you just keep trying to pick up the points in the games we've got left. All right, Spurs is next. But even if you try and just get yourself a point out of it, that would be huge. Then you're essentially 6 points clear. Then you can start to breathe a little easier. Try and get Burnley up next. You could even try and get, I don't know, another point out of that. There's 7. It depends. The Fulham game, Aston Villa, they're going. I think they've tailed off. Wolves, they've tailed off. And they won't put as much effort into getting results out of games anymore, I don't think. But if that was to happen, so be it. I would love it to happen. It would lift all the spirits in Newcastle, is what I'm saying on Twitter. It's just all downbeat moods all the time. It's just not a good place to be when Newcastle they have the potential to play so well, and they aren't playing well enough. And you say Steve Bruce doesn't have the guts to play attacking form. The players have the guts. You got to admit, the players have the guts. It's just being coached by a gutless sod who doesn't really care. That's all I'll say.
Nice language. Dom, do you think Steve Bruce is going to go into the Brighton game looking for a win, or do you think he's going to try and play defensive, then hit them on the counter-attack and play for a point? What do you think he's going to do?
Well, there's 10 games there. I mean, okay, we're not going to get a point every game, but I mean, there's 10 games, 3 points on offer for each game. So that's 30 points on offer. If we get a point per game, then you're looking at 38 points. Is that enough to stay up? I've kept saying on Twitter, I'm not convinced, but we're pretty close to that 40 mark, and I don't think anyone's gone down with less than 38. So, yeah, I would take points. We need points. That's the be-all, end-all. We can't lose. Even if we go to the likes of City, can we get a point? Can we, fight for our life in that game and get a point? Can we go to Arsenal and fight for our life and get a point there? It's all possible in a crazy season that we've had so far anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it is worrying times, but I think there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 teams around where, and I think there's 4 winnable games there. I think Brighton, we've got to go there believing that we can win this game. Burnley, I think they were a bit lucky against Everton. I think personally we can go there and get something. West Ham, I'd like to see if we can get something there. Spurs, they're not playing the best. I mean, I've just been watching them earlier on today. They've just defended against Arsenal. Arsenal have been absolutely relentless against them. And they've got Son's gone off injured. Lamella's been sent off. So they've still got the firepower in Kane and Bale and everything like that. So I'd be happy nicking a point off them. I mean, they're low in confidence at the minute. Liverpool, I mean, they've had a torrid season. Nobody's going to deny that. Arsenal, they're playing exciting football at the minute. Leicester have absolutely annihilated Sheffield United today. Man City, they trounced Fulham last night. And then you've got the Sheffield United and Fulham games where I'd like to think it was all done and dusted by them 2 games, because I think if we go to Sheffield United and our reputation's hanging in the balance of the Premier League, we're not going to be playing well. We're going to be under so much pressure, and Sheffield United will just pound somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then Fulham, I just think that is life or death, basically. I think that's the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agree with that.
So, shall we all stick with what's the saying? Stick with arms out on a limb, or stick with neck out? Stick with neck on the line. That's it. Who do you think is going to go? Who do we think that's going to go down this season? Stephen, I'll start with you, and why?
Oh, God, why'd you have to come to me first? Looking at the fixtures, Brighton have got Man U, Chelsea, Everton the next 3, as well as after us. Burnley, Man U, Southampton got. Hold on. If I were to put my neck on the line, I would still say Fulham. Not Fulham. I would still say Brighton. I think Fulham is playing too well. They'll get themselves out of it. Burnley, I think they're about safe. One more win for them, and that will do. I think it's between Newcastle and Brighton, to be honest. But I want to say Brighton. I don't want to go against my team and say we'll get relegated, because we will. I'll go for Brighton.
I'm gonna go for Brighton as well, because I think Fulham have got the confidence and the belief, and the manager's got them on side. He's got a good bunch together there. They're playing some good football at the minute, and they're grinding out results because they believe that they can stay in the league. They didn't get off to the best of starts this season. So Burnley, I think they're the sort of team that always survive. They always end up surviving for some reason. I think Sean Dyche has done a good job there as well. But I just think Brighton, I mean, they've got the next Guardiola and Graham Potter, which I don't believe at all. But I think they've purely got the hardest run-in. Man United, Chelsea, Everton, then they've got Sheffield United. That can be a dodgy game for them as well, because Sheffield United will just be playing for pride. Leeds, Wolves, I think they'll struggle against them. West Ham, Man City, and Arsenal, I really think they're going to struggle the next 10 games. But I think their most important game this season will be us coming up, because they'll see that as their chance to try and grind away, run away from us in the league. Fulham, again, I've just mentioned they're playing good football. They've got a good manager, and Burnley always survive. And I can't see Newcastle going down, so I'm going Brighton.
Yeah, well, I'll was that John or Dom?
Dom.
Either or.
Oh, well, just looking there, Brighton. As long as we can pick up, I'm hoping the 3 points. Then looking at their running is pretty difficult for them as well. Burnley is difficult. I mean, okay, they've got Sheffield United at the end of the season, which could keep them in it. Burnley is, we're saying they're safe now, aren't we? So Fulham, I'm not convinced that they can get much from that. As much as they're playing a good, attractive football, they struggle to score goals, though, don't they? As well as us, we struggle to score goals. Our run-in is slightly easier, I think, from the other three, but not by much. So, as I said, maybe we'll stay up by 1, maybe 2 points.
And how do you think it'll go down?
It's very hard to pick from that. I would say I'll hang my hat on Brighton at the moment.
Unanimous. John?
You put us on the spot now, are you, Kev? You really are.
He's being wicked.
And I'll listen to you guys, Kevin, what you have to say. But I think Brighton's got the hardest running for me. But we've got some winnable games there. But it's going to be tough. But for me, it all hinges on next week's game. Whoever loses next Saturday in this game is going to be in huge trouble. It's going to be huge trouble. So it all hinges. If you ask that question next week and we lost, it would have been us. Had it been Brighton, it would have been Brighton. But at this moment... Go on, man.
John, can I just ask you, sorry, just to jump in there. You've just mentioned that it hinges on next week's game. If Brighton draw with Newcastle, are we then going to say next week that it relies on the week after's game? We can't be doing this all season. So do you think Brighton versus Newcastle is the game changer of the season?
Right. Okay. I tell you what, I'm going to stick my neck out and just say, what you say? You're saying Brighton's going to get relegated, right?
Yep.
Okay, at this stage, it'll be Brighton. At this stage, I'm going to go Brighton.
You never know. I mean, Burnley might shock all.
I think Burnley will be safe. But things with Burnley and Sean Dyche, they got the players that they can believe in themselves. They're tough to beat, hard to beat. You know, they've beaten some good teams, man. They took 4 points off Arsenal. Yeah, they beat Everton last night, and you know they have beaten some good teams along the way. But okay, they lost to us as well by 3-1. But I just hope that we stay in this league. But Burnley be safe. I'll go with Steve. Fulham be safe because they're playing cracking football. But I hope I'm wrong. I don't know, man. I'll go Brighton. We'll just do it. Sod it.
See, what I was about to say there, John, was if you look at our last game against Villa, if we had lost that game, we would have been the bottom 3 with 10 games to go, which would have been putting even more pressure on the team and on the management and on the club itself. Getting that point gives us a bit more impotence to maybe stay up. But if we're dropping in that bottom 3, maybe Bruce would have been sacked because Ashley doesn't want to be going down because he is fighting the Premier League. And if he's paying all this money to do the Premier League, to fight this takeover and to fight for what we want, it's all just a wasted exercise, isn't it? So he's got to be taking some note and saying, right, we've picked up a point, we're still staying out of it. But if we lose against Brighton, I believe Ashley would have to do something.
He's got to make a decision, Dom. He's got to make a decision there.
Yeah, he's got to do something.
He has to, because you just said that. He cannot get relegated. We've got to be in this league. He wants his takeover. I mean, if you get relegated, we're not going to get a takeover. They do not want to buy a club in the Championship. I could be wrong. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying, we've got to be in this league. No ifs, no buts. This manager should have been sacked months and months again. And if you had even Graham Jones, if he takes over, I bet you any money, the players will look up to him, right? And he'll get everyone a clean slate. He'll bring Longstaffs back, yeah? And he'll play good football, simple as that, because they want to play for Graham Jones. When he came in against Everton, every player came up to him and hugged him. You know, they believed in him, not Steve Bruce. So, you're right. If we lose...
that's it. If Bruce was to be sacked and bring Graham Jones in, I mean, if, like you say, what he did at Everton, that was... You would think he was a manager with all he did at Everton, shouting at the players, telling them where to be, position changes, the pressing, everything that was right. That day come right. That was all down to Graham Jones.
Correct.
I mean, if he was brought in, like you said, John, he'll galvanise the players and they'll want to play for him. There's an element of some of the players don't want to play for him, they want them out as much as the fans do. So Graham Jones is brought in at the end of the season, do what he can with the squad he has, get the players playing his way, and I'd be more confident of survival with Graham Jones than I am with Steve Bruce. If Steve Bruce will just take us down, he doesn't really care one way or the other. He's going to be managing Newcastle next season anyway, whether in the Premier League or in the Championship. We aren't going to get rid of him.
Well, what I'll say is to that then, what you just said there, he's not going to get rid of him whether in the Championship or not. If he stay up and he stays, we're going to get relegated because they've got 12 players out of contracts at the end of the season. Yeah, they're all going to go. Who's going to play for Steve Bruce? Because I tell you something, no one is going to play for Steve Bruce. And he just doesn't care. He said, I think I'm quite rightly, that managing Newcastle is not his dream, whether it's that Sunderland. Yeah. And what he's doing his utmost best to take us relegated, but they all want to play for Graham Jones, yeah, and not for Steve Bruce. So what I said, like Dom said, if he lose next week, he goes. He has to be sacked. 9 games to go. Get Graham Jones in. The players were leaving him. He just said there, Steve. They tell him where to go, etc. Put in the 90 minutes for Graham Jones because he wants to play attacking football. But under Steve Bruce, he has lost the players. He lost them months again. Yeah. When I said earlier, when Lascelles scored that goal, only 3 players celebrated. The rest didn't bother. That tells me everything that you need to know that he don't want to play for Steve Bruce. Even Dwight Gale, on the left on the wing, when he's centre forward. Yeah. So I'll give you a little tip before you cut in. Yeah. Carlo Ancelotti, right, said to his players, "Where's your best position? Where do you feel happy? Where do you really want to play?" Yes. And then the players phones were with. Yeah. And he tells her, "Okay, I want to be in that position." And guess what? Ancelotti says, "Okay, cool. You play there." You know what I mean? He is a champion manager, a world-class manager. He listens to the players. This manager don't listen to the players. He doesn't give a toss, right? He plays Dwight Gale on the left wing. That's why players are hacked off. So,
John, just that little rant that you've just had there sort of spoiled me last little question I was going to ask you as well. I was going to say, if we survive, do you think Bruce will still be in charge next season? And I think, judging by what you have just said there, I think I already know the answer.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I think looking at Bruce, I mean, if he is still at the club and Ashley's still in charge by next season, looking at the squad that's going to be out of contract at the end of the season as well, and then obviously obviously, if we do go down, we're going to be losing players, as in, you know, St. Max, Wilson. Will they want to stay? Will, you know, Fraser want to stay? There's a lot of players there who would want off, away from the club. Is Mike Ashley, in the current state, seems he's fighting for a takeover, would put his hands in his pockets and say, let's come back up again? Is he going to put his hands in his pockets and fix what he's created, really?
Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, like Dom just said there, with if he's still at the club, then, and we're in the championship, God forbid, we won't come straight back up this time. We had a great manager to get us back up in Houghton and in Rafa. You can't say that happening with Dave Bruce. We'll languish in that championship for years, like a Leeds. You look how many times Leeds sat in that championship for 16 years till Bielsa come in and got them up. That's why you need a top class coach to get you out the championship, because it's a hard league. I know we walked it the first time over. Second time over, it was a bit more of a struggle, but we managed to get up. If Steve Bruce remains, if we go into the championship, that is, we ain't going to come straight back up. You just kiss goodbye, automatic promotion. We'd languish in the top half of the championship, I reckon. We won't even make the playoffs. But if
while Mike Ashley's fighting the Premier League, he is not going to put another penny into the club, is he?
No, he's not dumb. Yeah, you're right. He's putting all these resources into getting this takeover approved. He's not going to fork out another 20, 30 million to get the players in to get us back up again. He's just not going to do that. He's forked out enough. I mean, he forked out over 100 million this summer. Since he's been there, sorry. And he wouldn't give that sort of money to Rafa to build a squad. And he gives it to a clown like Bruce. Like you said, then he's not going to spend money to bring us straight back up. That's not him when he's fighting the Premier League to get this takeover done and approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephen, you sounded. I love the way you speak so highly about Steve Bruce. It's what I do these videos for. It's absolutely brilliant.
Love him, man. I absolutely love the man. Can you tell I love him? Absolutely love him.
He's getting Steve Bruce in his shirt next season.
Out, Steve Bruce out.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to wrap this video up now, but is there anything else anyone wants to say just before we go?
Steve Bruce out.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, sorry about me, Rand. I was just being passionate for the club because the fact is, you guys know I love my club. I want the best for the club, you know, and I just don't want to. I'm not a ranting person, but it's just the way things are at the minute, and you know, we just want to stay up in this league. We want to stay in the Premier League, but all we could do, just go next Saturday against Brighton and just get 3 points there.
Well, what I'd like to say is,
that's all.
Mike, take notice. Listen to the fans. You've not done it for 14 years. Listen to the fans. Even if you've got to go onto YouTube, even if you've got to go onto Instagram, even if you've got to go onto any other social media, listen to the fans. We want Bruce out. We want this man gone. He is killing your club. He is killing our club. And you want this takeover, get rid, and that is it. Finished.
Well said. Well said. Well said, lad.
Yeah, Dom, I echo every word what you've just said there. I think Steve Bruce will. I mean, next week. I mean, if we don't get a result against Brighton, does that mean it's the door for Bruce? Does he keep him, even though we're languishing in the bottom three? I mean, that's a question that's probably going to get answered next week, hopefully. So we'll just see what happens next week against Brighton. Then the coming days after that, when the speculation starts amongst the fans and then the reporters get involved and then Sky Sports News gets involved, hopefully we'll have a result by midweek next week about Steve Bruce's decision make Ashley's decision whether to keep Steve Bruce or not. So let's have a bit of a chin wag next Sunday night about it and see where we lie. And then
Hopefully Holly's back.
Let's have more time on the rants. Say again?
Hopefully Holly's on next week.
Yeah, she did say that she was going to be on. So, yeah, I don't know. Who's hosting it next week?
Stephen, I think.
All right,
Stephen, okay. Then. Yeah, Stephen. Yeah, I'll pass the baton on to you, okay? But thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Have a good week. Stay safe. And bring on Brighton. That's all I'm saying. Thanks again.
How are the lads?
How are the lads?
Yeah, lads, baby.
See you later.
See you later.
You're right,
See ya.
See ya.